I put an idiot in charge of the country, but hey, I thought of getting rid of him. Me and my friends thought we might shift him out of being Prime Minister. This is what Dominic Cummuings is telling us, amongst other things. And attempting to be a, hey, let's all be friends together, Brexit might be right, might be wrong. I'm not going to try and be certain about that. We aren't divisive. We didn't say nasty things about people on the Remain side. We're good guys. It's difficult to comprehend the level of arrogance that is displayed by Dominic Cummuings, and Laura Kuenssberg had some difficulty with it at times. But I think there's some important things to remember. When you choose to lie to people, you're being arrogant. You're deciding that you know better than they do. So if you take part in a scheme to put an idiot in charge of the country, clearly you're deceiving people, because you're not going out saying the person who I am trying to ensure is elected is an idiot. I don't recall Dominic Cummuings saying that at all during his Get Brexit Done campaign. The thing is, lies are always going to be divisive. Lies are arrogant. Lies are saying, I know better than you. You may be a voter, but I want your vote, but I won't tell you the truth. And so it's there's a reason why in South Africa they had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The two come together. You can't sensibly reconcile with someone who sticks to his lies. I mean, there is no way back for Boris Johnson, for example. There's no point at which he's going to say, oh, look, I'm sorry that I deceived you on this, that and the other. Here's the actual truth. There's no way that Dominic Cummuings is going to do that. And we saw that yesterday with, while he smirked at what the slogan on the bus did, he still tried to maintain that there was some semblance of truth in it. Look, let's keep this very simple. We send £350 million per week to the EU. Let's fund our NHS instead. They've sought to backtrack from the let's fund our NHS. Oh, that was only a suggestion. That didn't mean we would necessarily provide the EU funding to the NHS. All right. Let's just say that that slogan was, we send £350 million per week to the EU. Let's fund something else instead. That message is saying that on leaving the EU, that will free up £350 million a week. That is a lie. And by the way, it was very much targeted at the NHS. There is very little discussion now of that there was along with the bus, there was a TV advertising programme that showed an elderly relative, two parallel scenarios, an elderly relative in a case of we've left the EU, so the NHS had lots of extra money and she was able to get her treatment quickly and healed and came back home, and a parallel scenario in which we were still in the EU, the NHS didn't have the money, and so she was still ill or waiting for treatment. Although there is less record of that advertising programme, it undoubtedly was there. And for what it's worth, he came to Barnard Castle and said, oh, well, I had these security concerns. So he got to Barnard Castle in the interview, said, I had these security concerns. Nobody knew about those. So if you knew about those, then everything would be understandable. No, it wouldn't. Driving to Barnard Castle to test your eyesight. He never, at that time, explained why his wife didn't drive, which would have solved the whole problem of needing the half-hour drive to Barnard Castle. He drove to Barnard Castle, he got out of the car, he sat by the river. He certainly must have allowed the possibility that he would be seen, and so would, given that there were things that he didn't want to say about security, according to his story, then that certainly meant that he would be weakening the message about social distancing and not travelling and everything else. So I don't see that there's any clear explanation yet, or ever will be. He also didn't explain why, if he had all those security concerns about his house, he went straight back there with his wife and child without knowing anything further about the security situation at the house. So what had happened to all those security concerns? Or did he actually leave his wife and child in Durham for the week and drive back up the following weekend, as witness statements indicated? So I don't see anything that increases one's positive impression of Dominic Cummuings from that interview, though I dare say he's seeking to justify himself. I see quite the opposite. If you know that the person who's asked you to work with them is an idiot and is totally incapable of running the country, unless, of course, they were assisted by the genius Mr. Cummuings, if you know that, then it is completely irresponsible to do anything to assist their rise to power. The result of that idiot being Prime Minister, I can't remember if Dominic Cummuings used that exact term, but it was fairly clear that he thought Johnson was totally inappropriate person to be Prime Minister. The result of having such a person as Prime Minister could be disaster for the country, and it has been. And Dominic's hand is on that electoral process, on the Get Brexit Done. Get Brexit Done, of course, was a lie as well. If Dominic Cummuings is an intelligent person, and he believes he is, then he knew perfectly well that the idea that Brexit would be all done in the way that the Tories suggested was nonsense. We are still today, I was going to say trying to get Brexit done. I'm not quite sure how hard the UK government is trying, because they're certainly not going along with the agreements that they've signed. But it was perfectly predictable that there would be difficulties. Lots of people predicted them. I predicted them. Wrote a letter in The Guardian, December 2019, but I'm not claiming to be unique. Government said that they knew all about it and they had it all in hand. Nonsense. So the trouble with propagating these lies, as I say, is that they're inevitably divisive. Look, if you're completely committed to your policies, whether they are strongly right-wing or strongly left-wing, and you are honest about them, then at least your opponents know what they're dealing with and may even have some respect for you. But if you constantly lie about what you're doing, then you cannot expect a large proportion of the population, well, you cannot expect the country to unite behind you. It's impossible, because that would mean uniting behind your lies, and you will never get the majority of the population doing that. The fact that you get any of the population uniting behind Boris Johnson and his lies is something that I find difficult to understand. But you're certainly never going to get a majority. You're never going to get the nation coming together. And that's the situation that Dominic Cummuings has given us. If you found this useful, please subscribe to the channel.